glad we got a chance. Wifey showed up just in time because I was just about to ask you how y'all came about, because we were talking about the gender wars, and I think maybe it's good to let people know how a beautiful couple can be together so long.
Yeah, it's my wife Tisha. So when you first brought up the gender wars thing, where my mind went was to an old professor, and he was saying that, you know, he's a black fist perspective kind of a teacher, and he was saying that, you know, we should be mindful, black men, black women, should be mindful that, you know, there are forces that impinge upon us, like work, that can sometimes cause static within the relationship. Meanwhile, I might not see those forces, and I just point the finger at her. And so I learned from a while ago that we should be mindful not to, you know, always be at each other's throats when there are those influences outside of us. That's what came to mind when you first mentioned gender wars. And so I've tried to have that kind of perspective to, you know, over the years, understand the larger contextual factors besides just myself that impinge upon my woman, that does affect us. And the professor was saying that a lot of times we don't see that. We just go at each other without recognizing those forces. And from his viewpoint, which I share, that's been part of the intention for, you know, for there to be some, like, he would go back to the destruction of the black family and its remnants in the present day. And so some might agree or not, but we know what the roots look like. You know, we might disagree on its present day manifestations. But anyway,
How the us came about.
right, the us part. So we worked at the same place. So we met on the job, you know, which is, you know,
This is bringing smiles at her just as soon as you said that.
be mindful. You know, they say where you meet your woman is meaningful, because, you know, like, you can't bring not my wife, but you can't bring a stripper home and try and turn it into a homemaker because of where you met. On the flip side, if you meet your woman at work, it might suggest that you have a working woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what my wife is. She's a workhorse, yo. Anyway, we met on the job.
She doesn't seem to agree.
It's a great description of an
I
individual.
mean, there's a lot of, it's just, I don't mean to sum you up.
But
And I'm not trying to sum you up. I'm just saying, we met on the job, and
Bring that mic up a little if you
Yeah.
got.
and
Would it
that's a substantial thing. That's a meaningful thing to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
But would a better description be a ambitious individual?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that description a little bit
yeah.
more than a workhorse. I don't know.
Okay,
Workhorse implies.
okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So that's a much better word.
Yeah.
This is great for me
Yeah.
because I have never seen Mo.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen you in the presence of another woman.
Mm.
I mean, like, yeah, woman around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and more specifically, I've never seen him in the presence of you.
Okay.
That I can recall. The fun part for me is seeing the interaction
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah.
After knowing you
Yeah.
for however long. I
Yeah.
graduated 91, so it's
Yeah.
at least
30
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I've known you since at least Kevin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bless him.
God bless him, rest
Yeah.
his soul, which would be 1989, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
something like that.
Yeah.
So I've never, so watching this
Yeah.
last night, particularly like watching, I was just so, tickled, at the bond. You know what I mean? Like how I mentioned last night, how you were communicating without saying anything. You know what I mean? And that's from all of those years. You seem like you were going to say something about that.
I mean, we've kind of raised each other because I think I've going back 30 years.
Grew up together.
Yeah, we grew up together pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like raised each other.
Yeah, because sometimes he does try to say, there's like a period before me, but I'm like, no, there's no.
I touched on that.
There's no period before me.
That's what I was trying to say. When I would mention someone.
Yeah, and I was like,
she's like, I know him.
I know him.
Came across him.
Because there's, we've literally and figuratively raised each other. We've learned what each other's likes, dislikes, and actually molded it, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. Lack of a better word. That's why I said workhorse.
Yeah.
Lack of a better word. Ambitious is a much better word.
Yeah.
Ambitious, I think I like.
That's a beautiful thing because, and I, kind of, maybe I'm over fixated on the whole gender wars thing.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that?
Gender wars, meaning like in the work life, or
Just
like in general life, in culture. Having two younger male children, I see it within them now with their partners.
Yeah.
Like for example, my older boy who's 32, he just got married last year, the year before, but was with the partner for many years. He prefers, and she's actually okay with it, staying home. And he being the primary breadwinner, she just kind of like maintaining the home and having children.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that is almost like a step backwards for us a little bit. But he's stating that because of their choices and how they want to raise their children, this is something that they want.
Yeah.
But I'm like, as a woman, I think that you need to find your own self outside of the house, because eventually being in the house should be a shared responsibility between male and female, not just say primary, like, this is the woman's role, this is the man's role. There's none of that.
Yeah.
There's
I agree.
Okay.
yeah.
I was looking at.
Yeah, like, on a practical level, it's important that a woman work, as far as I'm concerned. My mother grew up working. Maybe you want to be able to retire and so forth, but, the time that we live in, you need two incomes as a practical matter.
That's what I'm saying. I'm so attracted to with y'all too, is that there has to be an element of humility, of submission
Yes.
between two people
Yes.
to last, for a relationship to last.
Yes.
Everybody can't always be,
No.
one person can't always have power over another.
No.
And that's what I mean by the gender war. It looks like today everyone wants to have something over somebody. And it's not just, it's the men trying to be totally powered over the women.
Yeah.
And the women trying to be totally powered over the men.
Yeah.
And there's no, as a result, like dating is at a standstill, like the housing market. You know what I mean? And it's like, and some people may disagree with me.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing it. But what I love, when I saw you say something, when you said we raised each other, it takes someone to let go of their ego to accept, take a man to let go of his ego.
Yeah.
It takes two people to let go of their ego to raise each other.
Yeah.
But you can't have somebody that's beneath you all the time to have a growing positive relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like I've never seen Mo with you.
Got it. Okay.
So it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
How you didn't finish telling me how you met at work.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just it's a good point that just came back to my mind about how we met. I've never been friends with a woman, and we started out as genuine, like,
Friends.
A friendly space. Most times the attention is there.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
it didn't, and I've said this before, and I'm sure she remembers, but it didn't turn into a more targeted viewpoint until she said to me, I always thought he was attractive. And then that's when it became, oh, word? What's your number? And then that whole dimension.
You didn't even have a number back then?
Nah.
No.
I didn't have it until that statement. And that's the woman I married.
Because she was just around the circle. Y'all were just in the same circle.
Nah.
And we worked
We
literally in
worked.
the same
I'm sorry,
in
I'm
the same
not-
hospital. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I would, you know how kind of stereotypical.
Yeah.
She's at a stationary spot. I'm the one that moves around a lot.
Yeah.
So I would pass by her spot a lot.
Right.
You know, well, generally speaking, that's
Yeah.
how it was.
That's dope.
But my point was that this is the first woman that was my friend that I married. Everybody else was always seek and destroy.
Yeah.
Kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
And so
Predatory.
it's actually very complimentary that I say that about you, because you were the one that started off with more friendly, and that was the one that I married. You know, so that's high praise.
Yeah.
That's high praise. But anyway, so, but the thing about submission, when you said that, it triggered me. The gender wars reminds, I don't know if war is, I don't know. It seems like to me, from my point of view, you know, the balloon popping thing that you mentioned.
Are you familiar with that?
Is it like a TikTok?
Yes,
Phenom?
they do it
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah. Yes. I think. Yeah. I've seen it.
There's a certain kind of shallowness behind that. If it's the women that are the ones saying, I don't like this, but
No, it's both.
it's both.
It's both.
Mhm.
Generally, in
It's
my,
basically a dating show that people are doing online.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of maybe scripted, or maybe not.
You think it?
Maybe not scripted, but maybe like someone's kind of
Guiding it a little bit?
guiding the nature of the content.
Well, it's not a real like network production.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's people creating their own thing. They're just buying a white curtain,
Uh-huh.
if they're even doing that much
Yeah.
sometimes,
Right.
and they're getting people to come on to get content.
Okay.
They're trying to get content
Okay.
for their YouTube.
So it does sound that there's some of it that's organic.
You would agree? It's very organic.
It appears to be organic, I think, but
Right.
the point that you made that it may be a little bit surface, not really deep,
Right.
not
The-
really
the
having
point-
any.
The larger
Yeah.
point that I want to make is
Before you catch her up on what I was saying
Right.
before, is that I feel like people are disqualifying each other for the pettiest
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. They're looking for this, like perfect, like this perfect individual is going to offer them all these pieces, but yet they're not bringing all these pieces to the table. So it's kind of like, yeah.
It's an added dimension.
Yeah, it's a little like you're never gonna find an individual who matches everything that you need at that time. The only thing that's important, I think, is that submission part and being able to commit to each other every single day, because things change, people change, and those dating shows just seem very superficial. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're lucky to find a partner, great, but
But what I was telling him
odds.
is that the show itself is not superficial.
Hmm.
I think the gender war has seeped into
that
these shows.
Okay.
I think it's highlighting the attitude of people today,
Mhm.
where everybody is looking for disqualifies instead of how to qualify
Mhm.
somebody to be their
Partner. Yeah.
Like things, they're disqualifying people for things like how he's dressed that day.
Yeah.
Like you just don't like the way he's dressed that day.
Yeah.
And the guys are saying the same type of things.
Yeah.
Things that are changeable.
Yeah.
They easily could be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like, I think I saw one episode where the guy disqualified the girl because of a comment she made to the gentleman next to
Yes.
her, and I'm like,
Stuff
what?
like that.
Like, what does that got to do with you? So I guess but it's
It's like you're sitting there waiting to find something bad.
yeah. It's like
Oh,
yep.
nope, I don't
yep,
like you.
Yep. She said the wrong thing to him, so that's gonna.
That's it.
but yeah, they're very superficial, and I don't know if it plays into the gender wars, but I think it plays into the superficialness or the materialistic things that were coming into the world now. The gender wars, I think, is going to that order of like what who is important to you, and like what are you willing to accept to be with his partner. That may play into it, because if you're in an abusive relationship, then that's going to be different.
Of
but
course.
but the superficial crap that people are buying into these days play into those type of shows. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like his shoes. I don't like his haircut. He said something, that was not politically correct. Blah blah blah. It just seems very not getting to the depth of anything at all. So
Superficial.
yeah, very, very superficial, which is the society. I could actually press a button on my phone and order an entire house on Amazon.
Is it supposed
So-
to be that way so that there's enough traffic? Because people don't want, or perhaps the persons who put it together thought, let's just do something that's, shallow.
That's gonna
just for
draw,
traffic.
draw traffic.
But the person
Yeah.
who's saying that,
yeah,
it doesn't seem that way.
yeah,
It seems like they really are
truly.
disqualifying for those reasons.
But they could be. But what I'm saying is, it's like, if it doesn't go down a little bit deeper, and by deeper I mean, in my walk, it's always been black men that have been the problem. Because in my walk, from what I've heard, this is mostly anecdotal, but it always sounds like in my perspective, women grow mature faster, right? In a relationship, men got to catch up. That's kind of what I've seen. That's what I've lived.
I think that statement that women mature faster, I think somebody chose the wrong words one day.
Perhaps.
I think women mature earlier.
Okay, that's a better word.
I think women mature earlier.
Okay.
And I think women often have just a different focus when you talk about older. So I think as kids, yeah, women will mature earlier, and then there'll be some kind of alignment along the way,
Yeah,
right? But true, I think women tend to want to get in a relationship before a man does.
That said, I
that
think
is
they-
our generation,
I
not
think-
the ones now.
well,
Right. Nobody
that's
wants
where
to
I'm
get
coming
into
from.
now.
No.
That's where I'm coming from. It's like, perhaps this is my perspective is becoming antiquated.
Yeah,
It could be.
Irrelevant?
yeah.
Well,
little bit.
there's a woman
was a
at
poke
my
at him.
there's a woman at my job that's like 25, and she was talking about her man, and it's the same old thing. He's not from her. Is it me taking her side of things? I'm being biased by what she's saying. I mean, he's not there, so it could be some of that. She's the one telling the story, but it just sounds so familiar. And it just goes into the narrative of, we got to catch up because we ain't behaving mature or grown. And she's complaining about stuff that, maybe if you was 18, you'd still be having that problem. But at 25, 26, you shouldn't be,
Yeah.
from her point of view. So that's why I say, that kind of anecdote is what I always hear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So maybe I'm
In
just,
my life, I was in my 20s when we met,
yeah.
and what I said to her that day that she brought it up to me was, my wife at that time, my girlfriend was saying some things and she started crying. She was talking about, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, to her, saying to this coworker, when your woman comes to you and she's trying to get you to see that she loves you, and she's trying to get you to get on the same page as her in terms of responsibility and walking together, you're either going to focus or fold. That's submission. You're either gonna submit to that or not.
Yeah.
When my wife, you don't remember this? We was in the staircase. We was right outside 305. It's where her mom's
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
Linden. 305.
right going to the elevator.
305 Linden, you said?
Yeah, Linden
Right.
Boulevard in Brooklyn.
I was going into the elevator, but I was talking outside in the hallway, and it was like, you know, I probably was running. I don't remember the exact circumstances. I just remember the emotionality, and whatever I was doing was going in the opposite direction. And she was trying to get me to recognize, what are you doing? And it's like, I got it. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be a whole bunch of layers of getting it. Like I just stopped fucking up altogether at 28 or 26 or however old I was. But it's like, how long is it going to take me to get there? Way after you.
Okay.
Way after you.
If we're talking about gender wars,
So it's not a war.
Okay.
No, really,
Why
we're talking
is-
about you two, but
We're talking about,
gender war is
we're
part of it.
talking about relationships,
relationships,
Yeah.
okay.
from which ours is a microcosm to speak to the macrocosm, which is black men.
Yeah.
I'm not a black male basher.
Yeah.
I'm a black man.
Yeah.
I'm just of the opinion that a lot of times it's us.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not that their women ain't scandalous and blah, blah, blah. But if we're talking about committing and rising to, like, we're going to make some assumptions. We're going to assume that you don't have 100 girls and you're not trying to live a life of a player and be with a woman. We're going to assume that you passed that, right? So walking together is commitment. And it ain't easy because our tendency is to do what we was doing before we got together. How long you gonna be in that space? And then once you step out of that space, now how you gonna be a partner? That's also not easy.
Yeah.
And your woman is trying to help you see. Now that might come out fucked up sometimes. Not that you are, but it might come out in a way that is displeasing. And so that's where the war comes in.
Yeah.
Because our communicating, you might communicate some things to me that I don't want to hear. Or it might remind me of my mother.
Or how you want to hear it.
You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it's
And
not how he wants to hear it.
right. So I'm saying it's not all about us
Yeah.
as I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
And I'm saying it generally too. That's
in
what
general, like when I got married, my man said, yo, why you domesticating? Like you selling out. Like it's something you giving up.
the ball and chain.
You know what I'm saying? And like that,
Turn in your balls.
Yeah, you're being domesticated.
that ethos, it kind of travels. And so now that it's like resistance. Perhaps men are resisting the order that she's trying to get things going in a certain kind of order, and that's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just theorizing as I say it, but for me, I can see, especially if you don't say it in a way, like, as I said, how you say it might remind a man of his mom's. And it's just another reason and he may not even know it. But it's just, this is the tension. There's tension.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this girl is outside she's like venting to me, talking to me as if I'm him, about all the things he ain't doing. Like, I want to be submissive, she said.
Yeah.
Okay. What you gonna do? You gonna help him along? Because obviously he gotta grow to where you are. He's resisting in whatever way, shape, or form he's doing it. So it's like, that's the fucking war.
That's a beautiful dynamic, though, that you're talking about. That y'all have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're essentially saying the man is the wild beast. And the woman, it's her job to tame him.
Maybe she don't know it's her job. She's
don't
just
know.
doing
Yeah.
And her
What she does.
her relentlessness and her commitment to it
Yeah.
is what ultimately tames him. And he may not even realize at the moment that that's what he needs, that it's a good thing.
That's a good way to say it.
Until years later, you're talking in your position and you're saying, yeah, I needed that.
My Lord, Len told me that he told me, like, we need women to grow. So having heard that, not that I was ready to start growing, 15, 20 years ago, but I understood what he meant. And so when those words come, if you can't see that what's coming from her might be helpful for you, you can't if you can't understand that, you're gonna not like it and be like, well, fuck you then.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be in a war.
Yeah. And that's why I say the woman has to be relentless in taming him, because the man may not like it. He may not like the approach. He may not like what he's feeling about him trying to, he feel like, oh, you trying to hold me down.
Yeah.
But it's actually, she's trying to bring out the best in you.
All unconscious. Because I wouldn't say that she was, I didn't bring out the best in Craig.
No, of course not.
It's just
It's the nature.
It's the nature of things. We don't understand that.
We lost the nature of things.
We don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a community.
Yeah.
Look at the divorce rates.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But so it's always political.
Yeah.
You were saying before she sat down that I want to get political. I understand what you mean, but it's always political. The personal is political.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we met on the job. She was a friend, and it evolved, and it moved kind of fast.
It did. In retrospect, it did. At the time, it didn't feel like that. It felt like we knew each other forever.
Yeah. But it did move fast.
It did. It moved fast because we met in 94.
Yeah.
And by 96, we had our first son together, and
but don't skip. We moved in together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the fast part.
But I feel like that's how we did back then in New York. Like people moved in together, didn't they?
But I didn't have a plan. Like I'm gonna do this and this.
No,
I was going with the feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we moved in
and
together.
The feeling
next year.
was like, yo, it's the one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it was normal to just, what they would say in church, just shack up. Like, if you felt comfortable enough with somebody, I don't know if it's a New York thing or not, you moved in together. If you liked each other, you moved in together.
Yeah, but we talking right now in reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At that time, we was going with it.
Yeah. We weren't even dating a year, and we moved in together. I mean, it was like months.
Yeah.
Like almost like I would be my girlfriend type of feelings. Like I could almost put a particular day together. It was like September after Christopher's birthday. Like just the exclusive type of discussion. And then the April or the May, we moved in together. That was it. We've been together ever since. Like
I don't feel like that's fast. You know why? I think fast is relative.
Could be.
I think it's relative to how you're connecting.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
If two people meet and they're very open.
Yeah.
In how who they are and how they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can build very quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. To take time out of it. Because we all have this implicit understanding of what the courtship is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But a lot of people have a lot to hide. If a relationship is unbalanced, where one person is more interested in the other, and the person who's not as interested is more closed off. They're not sharing a lot of who they are, a lot of their past, or just their present.
Mm.
But the one who wants more is ready to move in.
Mm.
Then I think probably a year is too soon, or whatever the time frame is, because you
Right.
still don't know a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But did y'all become friends and then move in a year later?
Yeah.
But you were open. But y'all were friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, at what point was, from the time y'all met,
Oh, short. That's just it.
Let him finish the
I was
question.
I'm telling you, it's short.
at what point was, I find you attractive? That part when you said, between the time you
What's
met
short?
Short.
and the time you said, I always found you,
Yeah,
was
it
it?
was
short?
short.
Yeah.
It was short. It was
And when you was like, a word?
Yeah.
Like
That
a
was
matter
short.
of months,
Probably
like-
months.
3-4 months.
Yeah. I
It
couldn't
was
put
just
a time
like
on it, but it
like
was,
literally just going to lunch,
Yeah.
seeing them in the ER,
yeah.
That's
and
not-
then and that it was
Y'all
like
work together every day though.
yeah,
3
it was-
months is not that. I don't think that's that long.
Yeah, but the way you're framing work together, you didn't know each other as an office person. Like, I worked in one department, removed from her department, but my job caused me to be in her space.
I was in the ER
Yeah.
as a clerk, and he was a transporter. So he'll come down to the ER to take patients, out either point this way or point that way, or you stand in front of my desk for like a couple minutes while he's
Yeah.
waiting for the patient to be ready.
That's a great way, in my opinion, because you're acting as you are candidly, and you're acting as you are candidly,
Mm-hmm.
and you are learning each other without even knowing it.
Okay.
Because if there was to be some kind of event
Mm-hmm.
and the cops had to interview you, you could speak to who he was
Right,
unexpectedly.
Mm-hmm.
right.
You know what I mean? So you're building a database, to put it nerdly,
Yeah.
of him without even knowing it.
Not okay.
Yeah, that's real.
And then suddenly there's this catalyst. I always thought she was attractive.
yeah.
I think I said cute, but we
Oh,
can
cute.
go for general.
Okay.
You can go
No.
for
You probably said cute. At a young age, you probably said cute.
No,
Yeah, at
the
20.
word, no.
No.
No. This is not, I remember the word.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He held on to the word
Yeah.
apparently.
Okay.
Remember the word.
Yeah.
Because it changed everything. That's why I remember. It changed everything. You know?
That's just my opinion, how I feel.
Okay.
And moving in, it might seem like a lot, but there's still a lot of freedom there. You know what I mean? You're not locked in
No.
by law yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I'm very grateful for those memories. It was very, very pleasing. Very nice time. Very nice time. The moving in process.
Yeah.
Very, very nice time, bro. It brings back very nice memories.
Well, I mean, I want to know what's in your head.
What's in my head is in
Yeah,
the car,
that memory.
in the car with the guy with the we had a
Real
black
estate.
real estate agent.
Mhm.
So he drove us through Brooklyn trying to find a place. I remember the place that we settled on and going upstairs. It was just,
That's bonding. That's bonding, period.
yeah.
To be building and looking for something
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
you at that point you had to have shared your expenses. You had to share your current
Yeah.
financial situation,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
to me is also a submission, because
We were 20. We were at 20.
yeah, you're right.
Not even 24. I was like 22.
Yeah. I was 24.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like
No, I was
this.
25. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know if it was like this back then, but or maybe it only happens when you get older. But you build up these defenses
Yes. it
about
does.
sharing
Yes.
your finances.
Yes. When
But
you,
you
get
don't want to
older.
share where you're not doing well,
Yeah.
where you're struggling.
Yeah.
But I think in the culture today, even more so, everybody wants to, because as they say, we're only sharing highlights,
Yes.
right? So nobody wants to show where they're struggling.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you get to, and to me, this is part of the gender war. But it's like everybody acts like they got it all together.
Yeah.
Particularly like a man
Yeah.
wants to,
Yeah.
you know,
now
show that he can
court.
court you
yeah.
financially,
Yeah.
or he doesn't want to show that he's not, because it's expected for him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to show where his weaknesses are
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
So it's a submission to say,
This is it. This is me.
This is my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
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 Are you willing to work with
Oh
me?
my God, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm feeling there may be hope for my son still.
Okay.
Because he's finally met a woman, or finally met someone where he's put all that on the table.
Mm.
And she's accepting him. And she is like this amazing young individual. Like, you know what? I have my own ambitions, but I'm willing to like say, you know what? I'm here when and I have faith and I have understanding you will be better because I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to raise you. We're going to raise each other.
Yeah.
For where we are now. And
I love
where
that, raise
and
each
she
other.
is like this really, you know, I'm banking on it as much as I can, but just saying that because in past relationships,
which is risky.
which is very
The
risky.
banking on it is risky, but you know we do that for love.
But to put yourself out there, like you said, it's a very hard thing. And he has done that. She has done that. And they're both accepting of each other.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying it's like perfect. I'm sure they have their own fears and insecurities that they do have to talk through. But that gives hope that this type of relationship or that type of non-superficial environment can still exist.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they need to be educated on the fact that what they're doing right now is valuable. And that might make them value what they're building, what they might be building.
But it might be, yeah.
How important it is that they have shared something like
So
that. They don't
vital.
know how critical
That
probably
is,
how
yeah.
critical that is.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Probably
and how rare, how you might not find that
Yeah.
today.
today.
Yeah.
Anyone else, even in your own culture,
Yeah.
your own age group culture.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
if a man was to share that, or a woman,
Yeah.
he's likely to be judged.
Yeah.
They're likely, oh, you ain't got it together.
Yeah.
Even if he don't.
Yeah.
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 A lot of people are judging and they don't even got it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, they should value what they have.
Yeah.
Because you
I
really
mean-
can't open up yourself to people.
I mean, I'm thinking about my first car that I purchased. I drove Tisha around in, you know, drove to Brooklyn, and I ain't had no radio.
And I've dated guys prior that were driving Benz,
I had a
BMWs.
a little
but
box.
It's okay.
I had a little box, a little boom box. I put it in the
Really?
back seat.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I was dating guys who were buying me Sherlins for Christmas, but you know.
So why him then? Were they jerks? The other guys were jerks?
No, they were teachers for what I really wanted, but didn't know at the time. I
But-
guess one, yes.
At
They were
that
jerks.
time, you
They
didn't
were-
know they were teachers. So at that
Yeah.
time, what did you see them as that made you
They
choose?
were,
Or I should say, what did he have?
that they didn't. Yeah, I guess.
It was the bond that y'all already
I think that for the most part,
Don't
it
speak-
was.
Let her find the words.
The bond wasn't real, and I thought it was. So they had alternate plans for their lives, which I thought I was part of, and I was not. So it was like, you know, I was maybe a piece of it, but not the entire thing. You know, they had other women. You know, at that point in my life, I was dating men who were older. So when I met Craig, my age group, made me laugh. Was not anyone who at first I would even, because he was short. I always dated taller guys, always dated older men. But he just had this way that made me feel really myself, calm. He made me laugh. Like I remember, like no matter what, he made me absolutely just feel comfortable and made me laugh. And I think that friendship, yeah, did grow kind of quickly. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you're. I think I remember saying cute, but you said you remember saying
You may have said cute, but
attractive.
in other moments,
And I loved his eyes.
you know. Hmm.
Still love his eyes.
Yeah, I mean that's sweet. You know.
But and I guess as we grew closer, it just felt like this is okay. I'm okay. I don't have to worry about him, and I could be wrong. I didn't feel that absolute need, like I had to like walk around and ready to fight somebody else because I was going to be put in a situation that was going to compromise me as a woman, as an individual.
Yeah. And that's consistent with what I know of Mo.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I don't know Mo as well as, obviously, because you've met a lot of his friends.
Yeah.
But that I do think Mo is not the type to put a woman in harm's way.
Yeah.
He's not the type to put any of his people in harm's way.
Yeah.
And crazy over
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
So that's consistent with who he is.
Yeah.
How would you coach people or, advise people on how to make something last so long? 30 years.
30 years, right? Definitely commit. No, commit. And I don't mean like once you're married, that's it. It is a continuous commitment to the relationship, the person, the life that you want to build. Commit. And I guess a level of submission, yes, I will agree with that. You have to submit as a woman in the relationship and know that, but also know yourself. Yeah. So, and it's okay to submit. It's okay to say, you know what, you got it. You're the man. I'm going to trust that you're going to handle whatever this is. But know yourself enough to not feel intimidated or less than because you are now submitting.
Yeah.
I would say the same.
Yeah, but definitely, like,
you gotta know yourself for sure.
You gotta, yes, you have to learn yourself.
Because if I have to let my wife lead, which there are times where it's just natural to do that because, you know what I'm saying? I recognize my own flaws, and my own shortcomings, and in that space, you have to know yourself so that you can be comfortable with let it go that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't live in that space.
You can't pretend or be
prideful.
Yeah, prideful. You can't.
That's the part I love about the whole submission part. The word has a bad connotation.
Yeah.
But the part I'm loving when I look at y'all is the submission. And nobody talks about, like when you said a woman has to submit, you're speaking from kind of this traditional, feminine trait.
No. No.
Okay.
Let's say, I don't need Craig to kill a roach or buy me a car or put me in a house. I can do that.
Yeah.
And not to put our business out there, I do make twice as much as he does. But he's a king of my house.
Yeah.
I will submit and trust that he will guide his family in the right way.
Yeah.
But knowing that I can, and I am the head of the house. He is ultimately someone that I respect and someone that I value. And I submit to him being my husband. Not that he can take care of this or, like I have to wait for him. No.
Yeah.
No. So I'm not, it's like almost like a blurred line of traditional, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
But understanding that, because I love this individual, I won't hold pride. I won't count ticks of like, okay, you did this, I gotta do
Yeah.
that, you got
Keep a resentment list.
yes, no, I don't keep a resentment list. I don't know, it's just like this, this continuous dance of, okay, you're gonna handle this, okay, I'm gonna handle this, okay, you can handle, what are you better at,
Yeah.
that you're gonna be able to handle that I'm not better
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like this weaving of our day, our lives, ourselves. I don't know how to describe it really.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying is that when you said submit, you said a woman,
Yeah.
and I think it's not talked about enough
Mm-hmm.
how a man submits too.
Yes.
But it's because of the connotation that comes with that word, submit.
Got it,
It's got
yeah.
this negative connotation
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But in order for when you said, like, what's your, the things that you have no problem let her take over.
Yeah.
That is a form of submission, but
Right.
it's not negative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when you talk about bobbing and weaving, it's because you're one. And in
Yeah.
order to go forward in a path strongly,
Mhm.
when one is not the stronger force, the other takes over.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the bobbing and weaving,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is somewhat of a submission. Sometimes you submit to go stronger.
Yes.
You know, but
Yeah.
That reminds me of our kayaking,
Oh my God.
which I would suggest that
yes.
all couples need to do.
Any couple that think they're struggling need to do that.
wow.
that. Yeah.
They need to do that. And if they can master that, they know that their communication and bond is only going to get stronger, because you have to submit. You have to let either him guide, or you have to know when to guide.
Or take over.
Or take over. You have to, it's
It's like a therapy practice for getting
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. It is.
very challenging, and your level of communication, your level of, otherwise you guys are gonna end up in the bushes in
Yeah.
the off a cliff.
Right.
Oh, shit.
So it takes kayaking to last 30 years.
Kayaking helps.
Well, good luck. If that's the secret, then everyone will be kayaking.
I mean, we're learning about that now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if that would have been used in a therapeutic way years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
certainly that would have helped.
Is there any final relationship advice?
Well,
Any close thoughts?
with regard to relationships, I've said it a few times that and it goes back into what I was saying about tension. It's important for, at least for me, if I was talking to my son, I would hope that my son has some kind of spiritual foundation, and the reason for that is it helps in relationships. For example, when I have, and I'm sure my wife has her own time that she just was not liking me, and things were just not vibing well, but during those times where things weren't vibing well, I've been able to say, well, perhaps this is for a reason. Perhaps God has given me this woman that has challenged me in this way. And perhaps if I didn't have this kind of challenge, so I'm not getting my way right now. I'm not getting my way right now, and I'm upset with her about A, B, and C. And I'm saying that perhaps God has put me in this situation to help me recognize that if I were getting my way, I wouldn't grow. You know what I'm saying? So the difficulty that I have gone through, rather than running or rather than parting, I've been able to view it differently and see it as a challenge from God, because, you know, I can't let tensions and anger that happens at times obscure the other times. I'm like, damn, God, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot more of that. You know what I'm saying? But so I've been able to balance those difficult times by recognizing it's probably for a purpose, which is for me to grow.
Yeah.
And if the delivery comes in a certain way, you know, I gotta consider. You know what I'm saying? So that is, I would say it's my last word to couples, but it's just something that I have to point out, because the road ain't always rosy.
Yeah.
Obviously. You know what I'm saying? And so the difficulty has some purpose. You know what I'm saying? There's something to be learned. And that purpose, I've tried to pair it with a higher purpose.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you both.